is all there, it's just not been put together in a package that is actually applicable for people who live in rural communities. And if there's anything that we have in the Northwest, woody biomass, there's a lot of it around. And much of it is just going up in flames because of various types of land use. So that's another key project of Windward. And my hope is that you're seeing that all these things are woven together into a fabric, and that Herland is part of that fabric. And more than anything, I think that's really what sets Herland apart from other cemeteries, is that if you believe in what we're doing on a broad scale, this is a way that that can be supported in a very direct way, while also getting your needs met. Because everybody has a responsibility of figuring out where their body's going to go, which is sort of silly on a cultural level, but so here we are today in modern America. So I'd like to run through some of the specific stewardship goals of Herland for us, so they have a sense of what we're doing on that
Can I
land.
just say, we only have about, at the most, 10 minutes left.
All right, so.
Because we have to be out of here by 8:30 because they close at 8:30, just so you know.
Great, so I can go through this, or I can answer your questions. Do you guys have things you're just itching to ask? Yeah.
Well, I can imagine coming from Seattle, going over to the site for service might be quite costly in terms of the numbers of people going over there. What has your experience been with that? You know, have you had people have services here and then the body just taken over, or what?
That is certainly something that happens fairly regularly in my conversations with other more established and rural natural cemeteries. There's other options to carpool and to make it that much more of a sort of community endeavor. There was a presentation given by White Eagle that talked about how it is sort of like an endeavor it's a real sort of ritualistic endeavor to go out and do this, because it isn't easy in the sense that so much of what people pay for and what people get with the traditional funeral is that somebody else is taking care of most of those things. And so I think it's part of natural burial that it is more hands-on and having to work out the logistics of that, and perhaps also thinking towards how one would like to be celebrated before one dies, so that can be understood and coordinated. But no doubt it's a challenge to travel that distance with a large group of people. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe this is a question for Lucinda. So you talked about the 72 hours and the dry ice. Can we ourselves take the body in the van, drive it?
You can.
Yeah, okay.
And, but again, you can't do it at the last minute. You have to really decide pretty, enough time ahead of time, for your question as well, to decide that you want to take that on. Because obviously it's much easier to pay a funeral home to transport that person. And it would be costly for a funeral home, including us, and Sacred Moment in Everett, to go all the way to Herland.
Oh, yeah,
Right?
it's a long drive.
But it's legal in the state of Washington. Once you get the death certificate filed, you get what's called a burial transit permit,
Okay.
and that's on the back of the death certificate. And if you have that in your possession in the vehicle, you can take someone in that van yourself. So, hardly anyone knows that, but you can do it. So it becomes, as Andrew was saying, a whole, experience that you're doing it yourself rather than having someone do all that for you.
Yeah, sure.
But there's a learning curve, again, about how to do that.
Sure.
sure. So a Sacred Moment is doing that, and I'm doing it, private consultations with families who want to do that
Oh, okay.
beforehand, so that you can be
Okay.
educated
Yeah,
and
sure.
trained, basically,
Yeah.
to know how to do it.
Mhm. Yeah.
How long have you been doing the service for burials?
Herland has been licensed since January of this year. So we are a very new cemetery, and we have sold plots, but we have not actually buried someone in Herland.
Okay.
We started Herland in 2011, and so I have communicated with many different natural cemeteries and people that have been doing this, but personally have very little direct experience. I've certainly given it a lot of thought and have sought the counsel of my elders, so to speak. Yeah.
As far as having counselors, at the time of death would be, if you haven't really arranged things that well, is there someone that can actually be a consultant to work with you? As far as whether you're gonna be at home, or you're gonna ship it over, or you're gonna have services, whatever.
Well, there certainly are funeral homes such as the Sacred Moment that are happy to be facilitate in whatever way is needed.
Okay,
At the time of
Maintaining
when
it
it's
within
at
your-
need, and you need to figure out what exactly to do.
maintaining it within your idea of very simple casket and,
Yeah.
that a bit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we as an association do. We contract with funeral homes,
Okay.
that they have to agree to what we tell them to do, which is whatever the members want is what they get. They're not allowed to upsell you or suggest things to you. They will let you take the lead.
Okay.
And will give you whatever it is that you want and let you, because we want people to have whatever choice they want. If you want to have a funeral service like my mom had with the super sealing casket and super sealing, concrete vault and the whole big funeral service and the whole big graveside service, well, if that's what you want, that's what you should have. But again, it's the idea of having those choices and having that kind of thing available. So all of our funeral homes will do that for you. Lucinda and Shar at A Sacred Moment are pretty much this area's experts in home funerals. But other funeral homes can certainly coordinate with Herland Forest, to get the body delivered and all that kind of stuff. So if you don't want to do it, or you don't have a car big enough to do it yourself or whatever, I mean, there's definitely ways to get that all accomplished. And it would still be less expensive than if you did the kind of funeral my mother did.
I would add to that, though, that this is a pioneering movement.
Yes.
And there are some funeral homes, if you call them, they're going to not be that open.
Right, so you have to be,
To
yeah.
help you, so.
But like the Co-op Funeral Home that's
Yeah.
owned by our
People-
members that take care of our folks here in Seattle, pretty much, they absolutely, they're definitely open to that, and some of our others. But y'all are lucky because y'all are Seattle people, so you have really good resources right here in terms of funeral homes if you don't want to do it all yourself. But you definitely plan ahead. Even if you don't want a home funeral and don't want to be buried at Herland, talk to your family, please. It's really huge.
Supposing a person wants a natural burial in a wicker basket.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, is it really?
Yeah, they can order them for you, absolutely.
Okay.
And they're beautiful.
And you
They
can
are.
be buried
They
just
are
in a shroud.
so beautiful.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But also, some of the shrouds are beautiful too. You can even be wrapped in a family
Yeah, we
quilt.
saw that Pendleton blanket.
Well, or a quilt, a family quilt. You can also be buried in a quilt like that. So it can be so personal. That's what's so cool about green burial. So, anyway, but we have to actually really, I'm sorry to tell you this, but we actually have to be out because they do close at 8:30.
Thank you.
And let me just, thank you. And don't forget, People's Memorial memberships make great stocking stuffers. And I've got applications over here.
And if anyone would like to talk with me or We can meet just outside
Outside
the
the
door.
door,
yeah.
Sorry.
Very
Sorry,
nice,
it's just one of
yeah,
those
or
things.
very beautiful.
Of the brochures help explain anything, or do you want us to?
Yeah, I want to get a brochure. You know,